Welcome back to the 1BC podcast.
Hey
We're
y'all.
here. Me, my name's Nate. In case people didn't know that. And then we got KJ and Matt. And today we're gonna be talking Disney movies. We're gonna be talking about the worst Disney movies. Oh wait, our favorite
Opposite.
Disney movies
Bro, that sounds like a good time though.
of all time. Let us know in the comments if we should do the worst Disney movies.
Tease in
I,
future episodes in the beginning of a new one.
Yo, we're becoming professional podcasters now.
I see.
Gotta tease the next ones. Ask for comments at the beginning of the video.
Gotta get that engagement.
Exactly.
But yeah, we're talking about top 3 favorite Disney movies for each of us, and then probably talk about some favorite moments from the movies, why they're our best and why they have like a special place in our heart. I'm also thinking we could do maybe like a best song that we agree from that movie. That could be a good place for discussion also.
one of my movies doesn't have a song in
That's fine.
it.
Yo, what is this
It's weird that a
teaser?
Disney
A
movie
Disney movie
Disney
without a
movie with this
song?
song?
It's
Interesting.
animated too.
Hmm. Oh, I think I know what it is. Never mind. Okay, makes
I,
sense.
I guess you probably would. We've talked about it before, but we'll see if you
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. So I think the way that we want to organize this is everyone does their top 3 or their number 3 and then their number 2.
Sure.
Um,
You want to start us off?
yeah. So my number 3 is Mulan. It's my number 3
Ooh.
top Disney
Okay.
movie. Um, I like it for so many reasons. One, as like a non-traditional person, as portrayed by my purple hair, having a movie about someone having like that kind of self-discovery and following your own passion versus what society or your own family wants for you, I think is a really powerful message, and it kind of hit me hard early. I didn't really realize the parallels that I had with it, but it's one of those movies that's always stuck with me.
I mean,
Should
Mulan is fantastic. She is
Should we
fantastic.
reveal if movies are on our list as well? Because otherwise, it's like, you know.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, for sure. If it's on your list, then
Yeah,
name
that's
where
my
where
number.
it's at. That's your
What?
number 1.
That's my number one.
That's my number one too.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say pretty much for the same reasons. Like, a lot of people kind of laugh at this, but when I was a kid, I was the kind of person that like I cried at everything. Like somebody like looked in my direction in like a mean way or like said like any sort of negative thing at me, I absolutely started weeping because I didn't know how to deal with it. And that was one of those movies where it was just like, especially like I'll Make a Man Out of You. That was the song where it's like sometimes you have to like reforge yourself into something stronger.
Yeah.
And that did so much for me to show that she was just like, especially with the way society treats women as a whole and how she was able to completely change her image by like standing out and standing up. Like that
Well,
was a huge deal for like me in my childhood.
during that song specifically, there's the point when she has the weights around her arms and she has to climb the pole to get the arrow out of the top of the
Mhm.
pillar. And the fact that she is so different from everyone in the company, but she brings a different perspective to problem solving, where she is able to complete the task in a way that was different than what was presented. But because she has a different background than everyone else, she's able to look at the problem from a very different perspective. And I think that is what gets in a lot of diversity conversations, when people think it's just for numbers on a spreadsheet to like say that we met a quota of some sort, and there's actual value that comes from it.
What you just said is pretty much the theme of like my top 3 favorite movies.
I
It's like
love that.
basically people using like logic to like look outside of the box and see things from different viewpoints and be able to like fix problems in different ways by doing that.
I with Disney, at least growing up in like the 90s, there were not a lot of movies that portrayed a strong male character. in like if you think about all the Disney movies, at least like when we were growing up, most of them they were like heavy into princess movies at the time. So like it was uncommon for there to be strong male movies, which is why I think like a lot of like Matt and I both have this movie as number 1 and it's also on KJ's list at number 3. I think that a lot of our lists are going to be similar because there were not that many movies that portrayed like good male characters. And this one has a female main character, but like there are also very good male characters and like good role models in this movie. And like yeah, it's showing you don't like obviously they're going to war and it's a very macho movie, but like it's showing that they're not one-dimensional and like they cross-dress in the movie and they're like chill with it. I mean, some of them are a little less chill with it, but and like when I noticed we actually just watched this movie like a couple days ago.
Oh,
And
that's funny.
and when Mulan after she pulls the arrow from the thing and they start like succeeding in their training and Mulan kicks I can't remember what his name is all of a sudden, but she kicks him
John
in the
Lee?
yes, she kicks him in the face and knocks him down. He like grabs his chin and like looks at her and like you could look at it like he's just impressed with her, but you could also look at it like am I feeling something for this man? You
Mhm.
know? Like it's
It's
just
the one Disney movie that like not only like goes into the trans like discussion or topic, but it also plays a little bit on pansexuality with him specifically, where he's kind of just feeling the personality of Mulan slash Ping,
yeah.
but doesn't understand why that attraction is there. And once everything gets revealed, it makes sense. But I'm sure from his perspective, he probably was questioning himself because of that reason. I would
And it
agree that that shot kind of signifies that.
yeah, and it's just like it's not like the movie is obviously not explicit in being a queer movie at all,
Mhm.
but there's so many themes of people just kind of like questioning who they are that it fits so well into that culture. And I think
Yeah.
it's part of the reason why I am a person that questions like I don't really identify as a queer person, but I am somebody that questions everything. You know, like I think that movie really helped me to look at things in not so black and white terms.
Mhm.
I think to kind of like expand off that too is like we did have, I won't necessarily say like strong male characters, but there were a lot of like male animated characters that were big at the time. Like we had already had Simba at the time. We already had Aladdin. Hunchback had come out already. Hercules I think had come out like the year before that. So there was like male centric like patterns in animated movies, but I think Mulan for like that type of like it is kind of a princess movie, technically speaking, an empress movie, if you will. But she is the strongest female and male character at the same time
Yeah.
throughout the movie, which I think is the biggest deal. Like a lot of the other princess characters, it's like they're helpless and a lot of time like just kind of like going through the motions of other things happening around them. She is the first one that is just like, no, I'm
Actively
fully
doing
gonna take
something.
influence. Like even Ariel, like kind of started to get that phase, but still just kind of like floated through a lot of the story.
Yeah.
Mulan is like the person making things happen. And even like her sidekicks, they're just there. Honestly, they're causing problems for the most part more than anything. But
So, is Mulan a princess movie?
Technically, no.
no.
She's not a princess because she is not the daughter of the emperor. Does she marry the son of an emperor? But I think Wreck-It Ralph has established her as one of the Disney princesses in their canon.
So, the like 3 stages that you can go through in the thinking about Mulan as a princess movie is like the lowest stage is of course she's a princess because Disney always makes movies about princesses. So she has to be. And then you think about it a little bit more and you're like, well no, she's not actually related to anybody of royalty, so you could not call her a princess. She doesn't marry into royalty or anything. But then the third stage is at the end when the emperor takes off his amulet and gives it to Mulan. By doing that, he's like giving her his royal symbol and adopting her, thus making
I
her a
would
princess.
I think it's a stretch to say it's an adoption and more like a presidential medal of freedom. That doesn't mean that you're the vice president.
He's
or
not
part of
giving
the first
her
family.
he's not giving her like a you did great, here's a medal. He's like, this is my medal. This is my
to show-
symbol of being an emperor, and you can have it now.
He specifically says to show all of China what you have done for me and what you have done for the nation.
Yeah, and like
It's like a war honor, more like a medal for war, given by the emperor, and less of like a
But
ceremony adopting into the family.
But
or
it's
into
not.
royalty.
But it's
he
not.
also doesn't marry
a-
a prince or the emperor's son. Just to clarify.
No, but she gets adopted by the emperor, is what I'm saying here. Like,
I-
it's not a medal that like the emperor.
She's not an orphan though.
The emperor
She
should
has
not.
parents.
The emperor should not give away that medal. It is not a medal of honor. It is the emperor's medal.
No. The emperor literally said, "This is the medal of honor. I'm giving this to you so that you can show all of China will know what you have done for me." I'm pretty sure is almost an exact quote from that moment.
But it's his medal.
okay.
It's not a
When-
medal of honor given to Chinese people. It is the
No,
emperor's
he
medal.
He has decided that this is a medal to show this thing specifically.
Yeah. It's like when Forrest Gump gets the Purple Heart for being shot in the ass, he doesn't become the Prince of America.
Yeah, but the Purple Heart is a medal that is given.
Yes. So just
The
because you
first-
get a
the
medal
first
that's given
Purple
doesn't mean
Heart-
it elevates you to
The medal
royalty.
that this emperor has is not a medal that is given. This medal is given to the emperor, not
the emperor
as an
already
honor.
had it. The emperor already had it, and he bestowed it to a specific person for a very specific reason.
Comments will
That-
prove me right. Comment below if Mulan is a princess, because this is not the Presidential Medal of Honor that a president gives that is sanctioned for giving to people to honor them like a Purple Heart. This is what the emperor wears. This is like the crown of the emperor, and he's like, here's my crown.
But he didn't give her his hat, which would have been like the crown.
The
I think it's
comments, the
literally just
comments, the comments
The comments will set you free.
will set me free.
I'm sure.
Okay. Well,
Just like the Hexac chest. That's when they're coming.
Nate, do you want to go with your number 3, or should I go with my number 3?
You go with yours.
Okay. So, like I said, somebody that looks outside of the box and kind of like is very good at looking at things differently. Journey to Atlantis is my number 3.
Oh, such a good movie.
That's a good
Yes. And it was tied with my number 2, and I decided to push it to number 3 because the number 2 has music, and this is my movie without music. And also from Milan,
Huh.
Reflections, or I'll Make a Man Out of You. For me, it's I'll Make a Man Out of You, but Reflections like needs a mention in there.
Huh. I never really thought about it not having music. That's interesting.
I think it's
just
I'll
like
Make
Treasure
a Man
Planet.
Out of You. Because it shows so much about like tenacity and continuing along the path and not giving up. And I really like that. Regardless of who you are or where you come from, you can meet the challenge that's in front of you.
Yeah, like Reflections is like words, whereas Man Out of You is actions.
Yeah.
But yeah, Journey to Atlantis, like the entire story, the visual effects of it, like how they describe Atlantis, all of the variety of the characters are so good. I cannot wait for them to eventually do a live action, even though it will probably not be great. But I would love to
think-
see one.
The technology and how it works is so cool too, because it's like rooted in a little bit of science. It's like pseudoscience fiction, where like there's a little bit of truth in the way that stuff works, and I really like that. Oh, such a good movie.
So good. So good.
I think visually it's probably like it's in like the great era of Disney for me. Like that live action pseudo animation with like
That and Treasure Planet.
that Treasure Planet and Titan AE are like
Mhm.
the three that I resonate with in that era.
Titan AE.
And even though it's not Disney, like still like kind of like similar style / era, the Iron Giant kind of in
Oh,
there.
so good too, yeah.
Yeah, so good. Even though
Hogarth.
I forgot until recently that Vin Diesel was the Iron Giant.
Yeah.
A man of few words. I am Groot and the Iron
I am
Giant.
Groot and the Iron Giant. Yeah, that's great. I like how he plays something that's pure nature and something that's pure technology also.
Yeah. And then the rest of it's just pure muscle, baby.
Okay.
All right, Nate, what you got?
So I don't have like a 3. I have like a
Okay.
top 2, and then there's like a tier.
Give us like an honorable, yeah, give us like an honorable mention then.
So,
Yeah.
so the top 2 were definitely like transformative for me when I was growing up. But then
Okay.
there's kind of like it jumps off a cliff, and then there's movies that I've seen a lot or are more recently uh very influential to me. Things like, so I really loved Moana when I saw Moana.
Okay.
Um
Moana's good.
like so now that I'm a dad, since having kids, a lot of movies, Disney movies specifically, make me cry. So
Inside Out?
those movies, yes. Those movies are the ones where I'm like, oh, it
Soul.
like hits me so hard. Like Raya too. I don't know if you got that from
Oh,
Raya
yes.
at all, but like, so there's like those ones
Anything
that are
with
kind of,
Aquafina can't really make me cry, but I get what you're saying.
yeah. I understand that, but Aquafina's dead at the part where I'm feeling
Best part of the
teary-eyed.
movie.
So
That's part of the movie.
you don't like Aquafina?
No, I like Aquafina. She's just
Okay.
like she's one of those people that makes me laugh too hard that like I can't I can't have
Okay.
like serious moments.
That
when she's
beetle's got a
talking.
booty.
It's like there's like I'm watching like Shang-Chi and like like there's this like really deep moment where it's like the dad and the son fighting this soul-eating dragon and she says like one thing and I couldn't even tell you what it was, but I'm just like oh shit, wait. People are dying. Okay, hold on.
And then there's also movies that I've seen 1,000 times, like Muppet Christmas Carol. Honorable mention. Which, if I had kids, that one definitely would have made me cry at the end. But it doesn't because I've seen it enough, and I didn't have
Have you
kids.
seen the Haunted Mansion one?
The Muppet Haunted Mansion?
Yeah,
I think so.
it's good. I like that one.
The Treasure Island one is my favorite Muppets
Treasure
for
Island's
sure.
great.
But then yeah, there's like,
That's like a childhood staple for us though, is the Treasure
Yeah.
Island one.
and then there's other like cool movies that I saw when I was younger, like Treasure Planet or Journey to Atlantis. And an honorable mention would be Goofy Movie for me, but I never watched that growing up. I watched that more once I was like in my 20s. So
I remember to going to see that in theaters.
So I've got like a lot of honorable mentions for 3, but then like the top 2 were like the core movies. And I really liked Lion King when I was growing up. I really liked Lion King. But like Simba was my favorite character, but like the movie wasn't that powerful to me.
If we had to rate the movies off music, Lion King would definitely be way higher for me. But yeah, like overall story and everything, it just doesn't hit the mark as much as other ones do for me. So I feel that. Kind of the same thing with Aladdin too. Like really good music in Aladdin, but it's just it doesn't get up there for me like it does with the rest.
I think I've actually changed my number 2 in the course of this conversation.
Oh,
Okay.
And
we'll
I've
drop it.
moved my previous number 2 to an honorable mention. And since Nate mentioned it already, I'm going to bring it up. But
the
a Goofy
goof.
movie. A Goofy
Mhm.
movie was my first one. The original, not an extremely goofy movie, just to make
Yes.
that clear.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
That goes without
but
saying.
I realize that it's more because of the music and not necessarily because of the actual movie itself, which is why I moved it to an honorable mention.
Mm.
But my number 2 that had an impactful movie was actually Treasure Planet. And that
Nice.
is because of my my upbringing being with a single mom and having a stepdad. Really resonates with Jim's story, and I remember singing Jim's theme at the top of my lungs in like middle school and high school, getting ready for school, as like this montage of I'm gonna be better despite regardless of like what my home situation is. And I remember thinking about stuff like that as a teenager. And I think that movie kind of like empowered me to be able to do that and kind of forge my own path regardless of what the home situation was like.
It makes me really happy that we have Treasure Planet and Journey to Atlantis on here because I feel like I
Mhm.
always pair those movies like hand in hand with each other.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really nice that those are like
They're
together.
kind of
that.
like off the beaten path Disney, but like
Yes.
shockingly good.
Yes.
Yeah.
They
I
are
know
like
it's, like,
the
kind of-
cult classic for that eras.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit of a tangent, but Kingdom Hearts has been like my second favorite video game series to League of Legends for my entire life. And that's 2 of the movies that people have been clamoring about being put into the series that never materialized. And this new game that's coming out for Kingdom Hearts 4 seems to be set in like more of a realistic kind of like Final Fantasy-esque setting.
So the hopium
And
is
one
being
of the-
huffed.
One of the previews that they had is of an AT-AT, like the foot of one on the moon of Endor. And so if they're willing to put Star Wars in, people are thinking that Marvel,
Mm.
Treasure Planet, and Atlantis are coming as well because they fit or they can fit similar aesthetics of like that more realism. But yeah,
That'd be
that's my
very
little
cool.
tangent for that. Sorry.
sick.
Matt, what's your number 2?
Well, I just wanted to say, like, for your Kingdom Hearts, I would love
Yeah.
if, like, there's a quest line where you have to go up to, like, one of the characters, and Cookie just, like, lifts up his shirt, and he makes, like, Delaware dance like he does. That would make me really happy.
That's really funny. So, in
It's
in
just,
Kingdom
it's his,
Hearts,
like, base animation. He just stands there, rolls his stomach.
in Kingdom Hearts 3, they added a cooking mini game with Ratatouille. So
Okay.
I could actually see them using a cooking mini game with Cookie and having him dance in the background while he's teaching you how to cook stuff.
I love that. That would be amazing. Number 2 for me is Nightmare Before Christmas.
Great
I
movie.
am
Great
my
music.
favorite holiday is Halloween.
Mhm.
It's a Christmas
And
movie.
the animation style, it's both. Thank you.
Mhm.
But the whole point of the story is they realize that they shouldn't take over Christmas and they should stick with Halloween because that's what they're better at.
Stick
But yeah,
with
like every song in that movie is just spectacular to me. The animation and the design, the storytelling, the voice acting, like everything for me in that movie is spectacular. And like I'm a huge fan of Danny Elfman's like entire library of like music and movies that he's put together. So it's pretty easy for me to go along with that, but yeah, those are really big for me growing up.
So I've got a hot take.
Okay.
I think that movie is very overrated.
How so? Why is it overrated?
I think that it is a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. But people went bananas over that movie. Like, to this day, people are bananas over that movie.
It does
And
make
it
me really
is
sad.
everywhere.
It is labeled as like the 30-year-old white male favorite movie. And does
And it's
make
like-
me really sad.
I think one reason is because it can be like the Christmas movie for people that don't like Christmas kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so people like that, and like The Grinch, people can like latch onto because it's like, I want to be a part of all this fun at Christmas, but I hate Christmas. So
Yeah.
I like Nightmare Before Christmas, and I like The Grinch. And like I feel like people know who Jack Skellington is, and will even have some like Jack Skellington stuff, and they haven't even seen the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think that movie is ridiculously blown out of proportion because of that. And like
He's
I
seen
do
as
think
like
it's a
the
good movie.
grim. He's seen as like the grim, darker emo side of Disney animation,
Yeah.
and it's like, while that is holistically true because of the whole Halloween Town aspect, like that's just not because
He's
of how the
actually
story
a
goes.
super
Like he's a big
wholesome
softie.
character. Yeah.
Yes.
And he really wanted to just do a good job with Christmas, but it just went wrong. And his intentions
Yep.
were pure the whole time, but yeah.
I think my problem with this movie is the ending, because it wants to be like a Mulan, where it shows you kind of stuck in this like what society wants you to be and what you're quote unquote good at, and then this person wants to break out of that because that's not really who they are. And at the end of the day, everything just gets reset to what it was. And I think that makes it a weaker movie for me, because the resolution doesn't really have any character growth for Jack. He appreciates the stuff that he has, but as far as him actually like going after the stuff that he wants and continuing that passion or discovery, that kind of gets thrown out. I think it loses it for me at that point.
Yeah,
I think
that's
I
what
like the beginning 2/3.
So you're
of the
saying
movie.
it's the opposite of Mulan. It's a stay in your lane movie.
Yeah.
it's one of those things for me where like when I was a kid, I wanted sequels because I was like, dude, there's all these other doors.
Yeah.
Like you
I
could have
agree.
movies showing the different doors. And now as an adult, I'm like, no, I'm kind of happy that it stayed where it was because like it was a great story, and I can't imagine like the other holidays being as like interesting
Mhm.
story wise.
It'd be a cash grab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did see when I think I was at Walmart a little while ago, somebody else wrote a book that is a sequel to the movie, and it's called Long Live the Pumpkin Queen. And it's about how Jack actually hands off all of the responsibilities of the town to Sally, his wife. And she has to come to terms with like being like the new like basically like king of queen of the land. And I actually thought that
The
story
Pumpkin
was
Monarch.
yeah, because it's also weird because they have a mayor. Like they have a
Mhm.
mayor, but they also have a king slash queen
I mean-
slash monarchy system.
England
so,
has a monarchy as well as a prime minister.
yeah, that's true.
The highest
But-
elected official isn't always the highest power in the land, so
True.
Yeah.
Let's steer away from that. What's your number 2, Nate?
Hercules, baby.
Hercules.
Gotta be
wait, sorry, wrong
Herc.
one.
That is a pretty great one.
That one, it.
You
like,
mean Huncules?
I mean, Huncules. Honestly, I think that I like the Muses the best. I think the Muses are actually my favorite part of the movie.
I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah, like
Good.
Hercules, I think, is not the most interesting character in the movie. I think like quite a lot, and it's definitely the Muses. They just make
I
the
don't-
movie for sure.
I think his character development is very sped up in musical montages, but I think if you look at where Hercules starts off, with him growing up with his adoptive parents on the farm, and him being like a klutz that knocks everything, and then him going into training with Phil and him like realizing that he's actually a god, I think the character development is like actually really cool, but it gets glossed over in a musical montage with Phil singing.
Yeah. Well, he does a lot of what's interesting which I thought of mostly as you were talking, actually, is he does a lot of growing, but the maturity doesn't ever come until he's faced with an actual opponent. Like,
Mhm.
even when he is like talking to Zeus after defeating everybody or whatever, he's like, I've been waiting for this day my whole life. He's like, what day is that, son? He's like, the day I joined you at Olympus. He's like, well, I mean, like, you're a hero, but you're not a true hero yet. And he's still like a child at that point. And he doesn't
Yeah.
actually mature until he gets betrayed by Meg, so he gets broken, and then is faced with a actual opponent and has to do something actually heroic. And that's all like right at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's but yeah, I've always really liked that movie because it also shows again, not only does it have a main character that's male, which was rare at the time, but it shows that being a strong male character has nothing to do with being like a macho man.
Yeah.
Like it's very
Not about
rare
physical
in
strength, it's about
media
internal
even
strength.
what's up?
It's not about physical strength, it's about internal strength.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
it's about like understanding how you affect other people. And like even in media nowadays, those kind of themes are rare. And you normally just get the, oh, I'm a big strong guy and I solve problems with my fist or with my gun. Like that's the
I
kind
think
of role models that we have nowadays.
the other part of Hercules' character growth is, for the majority of the movie, every action that he does is like because he's supposed to, and he's trying to reclaim his honor as a god that he lost. But towards the end of the movie, he decides that Meg is the thing that he wants to fight for, and it gives him like a personal purpose, not a task or a mandate that he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting character development of like he what he was doing, like the actions that he was doing before saving Meg and after saving Meg are very similar. But the reason why
Yes.
he was saving Meg is the thing that defined him from a hero to a true hero or godward.
Yeah. He's still like from beginning to end of the movie, he's fulfilling like a strong male archetype. And like
Mhm.
that doesn't change, but the reasons he pursues these things changes
Mhm.
drastically in the movie,
100%. Yeah.
which is really what matters. Yeah.
It also happens to be my number one movie. Like I think this is the Disney movie that I have watched the most, and I would bet $1,000 that I could quote the entire movie all the way through front to back.
My brothers watch it once a month. At least when they were living together, there was at least a once a month viewing of Hercules.
I love that.
So it's funny because I like the music from the movie, but I do not like the movie itself.
That's
Really?
interesting.
And it's this weird thing where like my mom raised me on the Greek myths, and the Disney Hercules movie is like so wrong on so many of like the Greek or even like the Roman like Heracles mythology that it just annoys me to watch.
I mean, never read a Grimm fairy tale then, because it's gonna ruin
No,
the
I
rest of
know.
the collection.
I know, but it's like I wasn't a fan of like Grimm fairy tales were not part of my childhood. So like Greek
Makes
mythology
sense.
was. And so it's just like he's not a child of Zeus and Hera. In fact,
No.
Hera is the reason that he is like attacked by so many things because she
Correct.
directs constant terror towards him since Zeus cheated on her to make him. And then Pegasus is a child of Neptune slash Poseidon, and Pegasus's children was made out of the sea foam that Persephone, or not Persephone, Aphrodite was born from, and would not be friends with Hercules
This is what you
because
were
Poseidon would not allow
raised
that.
on as a kid?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I have the book and it's
Ye-
messed up.
Your
I started
mom made
reading
a
it to my
lot of
kids.
interesting decisions when raising you.
I started reading the book to my kids because I found it at a library, and I brought it home and I like started reading and like the first page isn't bad. Second page I'm just like, I think we might wait a few years before we keep reading this. Got like the picture showing Kronos eating his children, and they're like all pressing up against his stomach, trying to like burst out of his body, and I'm like, ooh, maybe not.
I will say Hercules is one of the first times that we actually have two parents that care about their child in a Disney.
Yeah.
And if you really want to push it farther, he has 4 parents that care about him.
Disney can't help but have unhappy, like, they can't help but have one parent in movies where, like, it's not even a focus. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, Lion King, he had 2 happy parents. For some of the movie.
Where did Sarabi go? After the first, 20 minutes.
She's fighting with Scar. She's talking
she's
shit.
fucking
She's
Scar.
leading the
Giving-
rebellion.
She's giving birth to Zarani, and you know it. There is
But, like-
Zarani and Nala are the only 2 lionesses that have green eyes.
does
And I will die on
Andy
that hill.
does Andy have a dad?
No,
I think
doesn't.
I think he's dead.
Yeah,
He's
like,
dead or he left.
even in a movie that has nothing to do with the humans in the story at all. They're
Yeah.
like, no, we cannot have 2 happy parents. It's just not allowed in a Disney movie.
Ariel doesn't get a mom. Jasmine doesn't get a mom.
Sometimes you get 0 happy parents like Bambi. Like,
True.
we're gonna have no parents. Or Land Before Time, it's not. But
Oh my god. At least you had grandparents there.
yeah, that's true.
I was like, Aladdin had a dad, but he didn't appear until the 3rd movie.
And he was a shit dad.
Oh, I never even saw the second movie.
Okay, I forget whether it's 2 or 3, because I know there's like the Return of Jafar.
Oh.
Aladdin,
Yeah.
Den of Thieves, I think it is. It's
And
actually
the King
a
of Thieves.
King of Thieves. That's actually a pretty good one. I'm not gonna lie. It's got
That's
some
the one
good
with his
music.
dad,
it's a good
and
story.
Abbas Mal is in that one too, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I'm just looking
That
at
was
this
what,
list and I'm like, dead, mom's dead, dad's dead,
Yeah.
dead.
There's gotta be.
Finding Nemo, mom dies.
But that one at
Eaten
least
by a
is
barracuda.
unusual because the dad is the one that survives.
Yeah.
Usually the dads are killed off.
Lilo and Stitch, there's no parents.
Nightmare Before Christmas, there's no parents.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a child though. In Nightmare,
I suppose.
Draken's not a child.
I suppose.
No, he's centuries or millennia old.
If we're gonna talk about absentee parents,
Mulan has 2 happy parents.
that's
I wouldn't say they're
true.
happy. I wouldn't say they're happy.
Why wouldn't
Yeah,
they be happy?
actually, when we were watching, I was I was remarking on how when he goes and gets the conscription orders and he walks back like without his cane, and then she holds up the cane for him, he doesn't even do like a no thank you. He like looks straight ahead, does not even glance at her, and just like, I'm a real man and I'm walking back without my cane and I don't even recognize my wife. Like, he doesn't even look at her or like acknowledge her in any way.
They're
Everything is
disappointed.
about honor.
They're disappointed that she's failing like the matchmaking stuff. The grandmother is the one that supports her. The grandmother doesn't give a shit.
I
She is her greatest support.
I don't think there's any reason to really think that they're not happy. But
I wouldn't say
They're-
that like they're not supportive though. They're not like happy and supportive.
especially given they're supportive for sure.
I feel like they're supportive of what society's role for Mulan is. They're not necessarily supportive of deviation for that, but they
Yeah.
also realize that the cultural norms will make society ostracize Mulan for being herself, and it's not just a personal or familial like restriction that they're putting on her. It's more of a cultural one, and the ostracization that she would fall under if she was herself.
I think that Mulan's dad is crazy supportive given like the context. Like
Especially at
tradition
the end.
tradition and honor are so important in yeah, exactly. But tradition and honor are so important in China. And the fact that like at the beginning of the movie, he's like all about her and supporting her and then not even after she like fails the matchmaking, he's just kind of like disappointed, but does not flip out. The worst he flips out on her is when she disrespects him directly.
Yeah.
Like when she tries to stop the conscription orders, and it's like,
Yeah.
for being a Chinese man, he's ridiculously supportive. And then when she like steals it and goes off to war, he should be like, well, she's dead to me. I don't care about her anymore. Cuz like the punishment in China is death, as they say in the movie. So like he should not care about her at all, but he's been distraught the whole time and is just happy to see her at the end. He doesn't care that she like brought honor to the family or anything. He's just happy that she's back. Like he is
Like
crazy
here's the
supportive.
sword. Here's the sword of the bad guy that was like
He's
literally
like,
killing
"Fuck, I don't
country.
care."
And here's the medal that I got from the emperor as honor to bring honor to our
He
family.
throws it on the ground.
I don't care about that. My daughter.
Yeah.
The daughter's here.
Yeah. I think mom is probably more disappointed than dad is.
No, because she brought a man home, so she was still happy.
By the end,
I mean, yeah.
He was
But Dad
disappointed
was
with the
supportive the
medal
whole time.
until the commander showed up, and then she was just
Yeah.
like, "Okay, you're forgiven."
would you
Do
like
you
to
wanna
stay
for
forever?
dinner? And that's why this is the One Brain Cell podcast, everybody.
Oh gosh.
All right, well that's I guess the top 5 to top 3.
Did we do your top one?
Mulan.
His is
And-
Mulan. Both of ours
Oh,
is
yeah, yeah.
Mulan. We covered that with your
Oh,
number 3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're right. You're right.
Wait, what was your 2, Nate? Did you say
Herc.
your 2?
Herc
Oh
and
yeah,
Dirk.
that's right. Okay.
I
So
think
KJ's number 1? Or did we get KJ's
What's your
number one as
favorite song from Hercules?
well? Go the Distance.
It's a good one.
I also do love like the intro Hercules song though, in like the style of the Supremes.
I think that's my favorite. Where he's
I
like,
do love.
take it
I do
away,
love that intro.
girls.
Yes, I do love that one as well.
It's
But Go
You
the
Go
Distance.
Girls.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah.
It's You Go Girls.
You go, girls.
Go the
Um,
Distance is the one that
um,
I'm like screaming in the car when I'm by myself driving around. So
Honestly, the one that I like. So I had a cassette tape of all of the songs from Hercules, and it was a 2-sided cassette tape, and I broke it on I Won't Say I'm in Love. So I'm pretty sure that's my favorite one. The muses
fan.
in that song really get to me.
Dude, they're just all so good.
So when I was in high school, this is like a kind of embarrassing anecdote about me. But when I was in high school, I had a mix between the muses and like the Lizzie McGuire imaginary person in my head, and they would just randomly sing like R&B or hip hop songs from the time when we were growing up that would just fit in with whatever was happening during the day of high school.
That's awesome.
And I would just like have all of these random songs pop in my head, and I felt like I was in Hercules all the time.
nice.
Can I tell you one of my favorite animated movies now, which I think is a Netflix original?
Arcane.
It's not a movie. And I can't believe you're the one that brought it up. Is Nimona. Have you seen Nimona?
Mm-mm.
No,
Dude.
but I heard it was pretty good animation wise.
Yeah, big fan. Nimona is a very uniquely animated movie, and I love the messaging of the movie too. It's another one
I
that
like the
gets me
art
crying
style.
nowadays. Huh?
I like the art style. It reminds me of there was like this era that they had a Spider-Man animated series that kind of reminded me of this. It feels like cartoon or not cartoon, comic book animation.
Yeah.
The
that-
Into the Spider-Verse stuff.
No, this was like a long time ago, like 2008, 2009 era. There was an animated Spider-Man series. I think it was around the time that it was like in between the Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield movies that this animated show came out. I want to say it was the Amazing Spider-Man animated series, but I'm not entirely sure.
Encanto is also a movie that just like gets me. It's one of the movies that I cry on.
It's got really great music too. Like that's another one where it's like beat for beat.
So
Most
who
of
do
the
you
songs in there are
identify?
fantastic.
Who do you identify with from the family of Encanto?
From the family?
Yeah,
I identify with what's her name? Is it Luisa?
Buff Lady.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a Luisa too.
yeah. Because I've always been the person where I feel like I'm like carrying the burdens of the family and like
I
helping out with everything.
I've always felt like I am a bit. I identify mostly with Luisa for sure,
Yeah.
because it feels like I'm the one that kind of has to hold everything together for the most part. But I've also got a bit of Isabella, where I've also felt like I had to be the one that was perfect, and like I was
Yes.
not
Same.
allowed to be the screw up. So I've
No,
got a
I
little bit of
was
that, but definitely Luisa is my
I
big
was
one.
I was honestly like all three because I was like expected to like help bear the burdens of what the family was going through and help like my brother and my sister, but also be like the one that like performs the most and does the most and like succeeds the most. But then I was also just like the weird one who was just like, I'm just gonna do my own thing.
What about you, KJ?
I think I'm a Dolores, which is sad, but like growing
So
up
awesome.
as an only child with like a bunch of cousins, I was the youngest,
Yeah,
and so like I kind of I got told what I was supposed to do and or be,
yeah.
but then also wasn't allowed to voice dissent. And I
Hmm.
just like kind of had to play or fill the role that was given to me.
So Nikki identifies with Camilo because she
Hmm.
has always felt like she's the one that needs to. I mean, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but like she feels like she has to be a different person depending on who she interacts with, and is always
Mm.
shape shifting to fit the role that somebody else wants her to play. Is
Ugh,
why she feels like she identifies with him.
I feel that. That's always like just a rough situation to be in. You
Dude,
have to be like very
Dolores.
performative.
Dolores is the worst power by far. It's-
Yeah.
Could you imagine dealing with her power? Have you seen the film theory that talks about how Dolores is behind the magic fading in Encanto?
Yeah.
What a great theory. I
Yeah.
thought it was so sick.
I mean, she literally knew where Bruno was the entire time.
Yeah. And said
She
nothing
says,
about it.
The theory
She said
basically
nothing about the
goes
fact.
that like Dolores is the one that is absolutely the happiest when there's no magic because she's going crazy hearing literally every conversation and pins dropping a mile away. Like she hears
yeah,
everything and is
And the
going
fact that the
nuts.
person that she is in love with and she has to hear all of the conversations
Yeah.
about her marrying her sister
Yeah.
yep,
or
And
him
like
marrying her sister.
she's going to have basically perfect knowledge of what's going on and she chooses to withhold information.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's behind the
Knows
whole
everything but
thing.
only can speak on some stuff.
There's also like very strange animations, like in the door at the end. Their new door has like the whole family.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy. Dolores is frowning.
She's the only one not smiling
She's
on
the
the new
only
door.
one not smiling at the end of the movie. So like
Yep.
there's even very strange animations where Disney was almost hinting towards it.
Hmm.
Is that all we got, boyos? Any more
so
honorable mentions?
I
There's
mean,
definitely
I always love to mention like Tarzan and what Phil Collins brought to like the music for that.
if we're talking music, yeah, Tarzan's a big one.
Yeah, it's like Tarzan,
I
Lion King, Aladdin for me if it's music.
think I like Aladdin's music more than The Lion King. So when I was in high school, I did a project in my English lit class And the original idea that I had was comparing or like doing a recreation of The Lion King with Hamlet characters because the stories are based off of each other. That got stolen from me by another group project, so I ended up doing Othello with Aladdin, and I realized how much I liked the story of Aladdin more than the after that.
Aladdin, you also have to give so much credit for because they were the first ones to bring a comedian in and have him just like ad lib and like basically do whatever he wanted. Like there was Nate, I'm sure you've probably seen it with your daughters. I don't know if you would have seen it, KJ, but there was a short that they released in 2021, like fairly recently. It's called Once Upon a Studio.
Mm-mm.
No, Nate, have you seen it?
I don't know if I have.
It's a short movie, and basically it has the camera pan through Disney Animation Studio, and it's supposed to be like essentially a love letter to everything that that studio and all the people that have worked there have done throughout the years to like create all these beloved characters. They have Robin Williams' Genie in there, and they do not use AI to feed him lines. They take some of like the hours of extra audio that they still have that he gave them because he gave them so much content of extra takes that they just put those lines in there. So
Hmm.
it's just like never before heard audio that they just took from another cut and just like threw it in.
It's awesome.
But like that opened the door for people like Mulan with Eddie Murphy. Like the reason that they looked for somebody like Eddie Murphy is because they realized that by having Robin Williams in, if you
Well, they
look at
also
like
had what's his name,
all the
Gilbert
Genie's
Gottfried
jokes, yep,
is
for the
Iago.
parrot,
Yeah.
yep. But like all the jokes that they do make the show or make the movie so enjoyable for kids and for parents that they then realize they're like, oh, like if we find somebody that's able to like find that line, we can actually make something that can make us more money and be more beneficial for everybody to watch and everybody to enjoy by doing stuff like that. And I mean,
So you're
they
saying
did.
that Genie is the reason why we have Bluey?
How does Genie and Bluey connect?
Because I think that Bluey is more written for adults, and it's a show that kids can watch that's written for adults. And Genie was originally put in there so that it's still a kids movie, but there's jokes in there that only the adults are gonna get, and they'll get it, and the kids will get it when they're older.
I could see that. I also know that Bluey actually does a really good job at listening to their audience. Because they actually had some lashback in like after like season 1 or 2 about how the mom didn't do anything, and like people were upset that they kind of just had the mom in there as like this nothing character, and they got her like heavily involved with like different unique stories between like moms and her daughters, and so I liked that a lot.
Dude, don't even get me started on Baby Race. That episode is just is so sweet.
We love toilet hands in this house.
You watch Bluey, KJ?
I have never seen an episode of Bluey.
It's actually, I mean, it's obviously for kids. It's a kids show, but
Yeah.
it's fire. It's such
As
a good show.
Yeah, as like parents having to like sit and watch through something for kids, it's actually very enjoyable.
It's also very entertaining to if somebody was just to rattle off like what themes are discussed in an episode. If you think about it like the writers pitching to the studio,
Mhm.
the episodes are crazy. It's like like for example, okay, we got this brand new episode idea. We're going to call it onesies. And they're like, "Okay, talk to me about onesies. We're going to have like some cute onesies." It's like the episode is going to be about infertility. And it's like, "Wait, hello? What do you mean we're pitching this as a kids show?" Like the themes that they discuss in the show, which are hidden so that like kids don't know what's happening. It's still just a fun show. It's a wild show. I love that show so much. All right,
You were
boys.
asking if I had any last minute, like obscure honorable mentions. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I
James
have
and the
two.
Giant Peach.
No.
Oh.
My obscure honorable mentions are Oliver and Company
Okay.
Okay.
and Dinosaur, which were
Uh,
both like some of my most watched movies in like late elementary school, I would say.
I'm trying to remember.
Oh, Dinosaur.
I put on
Yeah,
Dinosaur the other day. I mean,
with
the other
the
day.
lemur monkeys and the like not Bronchiosaurus but some type of long neck dinosaur.
I forgot about that till
I
now.
started watching Dinosaur like a few months ago, and I
Mm-hmm.
cannot remember. I think like the internet gave out or something, so we never actually finished the movie. But I can't remember how I felt about it watching it again, like so many years later. I can't remember if I was like, dang, the animation like holds up pretty good, or if I was like, yeah, this looks like trash now. I can't remember how I felt about it. Like, have you
In
go
my
back and
personal
watch
opinion, the
like,
animation holds up.
does it?
I
Maybe
think
that's
so.
what it was. I
It
was like
does.
shocked. Because if you go back and watch Ice Age, the original Ice Age movie,
Yeah.
you will be shocked at how bad it is. Like,
Okay.
shocked. Like, I will report back to the podcast in 2 weeks. And,
That's what we'll start
Will
off
do.
with. Confirmed. Ice Age is trash.
like,
That's gonna be the start of our our
if you
worst Disney
watch
movie
it,
episode.
just like the animations are so bad, like, bad YouTube videos are better than Ice Age nowadays.
Wow.
Like,
That's gonna make me
Hmm.
so sad because I remembered like the first time I felt cool as a kid is we went on some like long field trip in elementary school, and there was like 3 kids that were allowed to bring the VHS tape to load into like the TVs for the bus so we
yeah.
could watch a movie. And I brought Ice Age, and everybody was just like, "Yeah, that's the best one." And so just hearing that, I'm just like, "Oh
Dude,
no."
it's crazy to see what it looks like now.
They like glitching through each other and clipping through the ground and stuff.
I don't think they're doing that necessarily, but it's like the animations are so you can see the polygons and it's so like choppy just watching them move and it's like I can't believe I thought this was good at some point. Like I know it was good. I loved the movie, but like looking at it now, it just doesn't hold up. Especially like compared to some Pixar movies that are even older than that movie is.
You know, they're making Ice Age 6 right now.
Dude, the other day, when's the last time you went back and watched the first Incredibles movie too?
We watch it a decent amount.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because do you remember when it first came out and like their plane explodes and they go into the water and Elastigirl comes up and you see like the water falling off of her hair and you're like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Do you remember that
Yeah.
experience? You watch it now and you're like, it still looks good, but it is not it's starting to fall off finally. Like I remember it being like the peak of animation and finally it's like okay, it's not the peak anymore.
Wet hair animation or just hair animation in general is like the hardest thing to do.
Water animations is super hard.
Yeah.
Yes. Like we
Like,
did not
we're
get
just now getting Gen 5 systems to like render proper water now.
Yeah, like the first time that I can say that like we probably like perfected water animations was probably Avatar 2. There was scenes in that where people did not realize like they went back and showed behind the scenes and there's like, "Oh, there was no water in that scene like at all."
I still haven't seen
And
that
even
movie.
I'll have to send you guys a clip of the most recent Planet of the Apes movie. There's this whole scene where like a human gets pushed off into like a raging river and an orangutan jumps in after, and oh my god, like wet hair simulations. Like probably the most gorgeous thing ever. Like it literally looks like they threw an orangutan in a raging river. It is crazy.
All
Yeah,
right, well
we
I
got
think that's our show.
Yeah.
Let us know what your top 3 Disney movies are in the comments and we will judge you harshly.
Indeed.
Thanks for watching the 1BC podcast. Like and subscribe to the video, and we'll see you next week.
Catch you later.
Peace.